Like a year and a half ago, you couldn't go one day without seeing some insane Wemby clip, without hearing some analyst say he was the greatest prospect in team sports history, and that hype continued his rookie season. He was incredible, the stat lines were ridiculous, the plays were out of this world, but given how well he's played recently, why is he not being talked about more?
Yeah, I mean, maybe call it recency bias from us after we just watched him put up 30 points and 10 blocks on the Blazers, but I mean, before that, he's coming off a 42 points, 6 boards, 5 assists, 4 blocks against the Hawks. I mean, I know he came out the gate with a bit of a slow start, but ever since like early November, dude's been on a heater.
Before we start talking about Victor Wembanyama, please give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on any new videos. So the biggest storyline this season, I'd probably say it's the NBA ratings, and like, I get it, it's an interesting topic to like wonder what's going on. We made a whole video about it, so I guess we're part of the problem, but like, I thought that would kind of be a topic of discussion for a week, maybe 2. It's getting exhausting. Like, can we shut up about that and like focus on the actual game, the players? So we wanted to be positive and talk about the dude who is the future face of this league. It felt impossible he was gonna live up to the hype. I mean, I'd never seen a prospect as hyped as him. I started watching sports like in 2005, so after LeBron had already been drafted. No one you could really even compare it to. In hindsight, it makes sense though. 7'3", 8-foot wingspan, could handle the ball, could shoot threes. That shouldn't exist.
It shouldn't exist. I think the thing with like the hype is like all the guys we'd seen hyped up in our lifetime, outside of like Anthony Davis, all of them kind of flopped or just weren't that great. You know, your Andrew Wiggins, your Shabazz Muhammad's, you know, Zion hasn't really been what we thought he was going to be. I think there's always that like, you know, hesitancy when you hear like, oh, this is the next great prospect. It's like, okay, well, is he actually going to be that great when he's played in the NBA? Boy, he was incredible that rookie year.
Yeah, the Spurs were the luckiest team to get him. As we mentioned, we're Blazers fans. I'm sure you guys all know at this point. We mentioned every damn video.
Yep.
We're still so salty we didn't get him. We end up with Scoot Henderson instead.
Who's got time? Give him time.
Yeah, I guess. It's just disappointing. But for Wemby's sake, maybe the best situation to go to. You got Pop as the head coach, arguably the greatest coach in NBA history. You got the French connection there with Tony Parker playing there, being great all those years.
And say if he had come here, the Blazers don't have the best history with big men and staying healthy. So, yeah.
And on top of that, you're in a small market. The microscope was already going to be on him, examining every play, every game. If he would have been in New York, in LA, or Chicago, it would have been even worse.
Oh yeah. Like we said earlier though, he completely surpassed even like the optimistic expectations for his rookie year. 21.4 points per game, 10.5 rebounds a game, 3.6 blocks per game, which led the NBA, finished second in the league in defensive player of the year as a rookie, made all defensive first team as a rookie. Stuff we've just never seen before. He literally is the only rookie to ever make all defensive first team.
Yeah, just ridiculous. And on top of that, like the Spurs had a pretty good offseason. You draft Stephon Castle. He's been excellent so far. You signed Chris Paul and you're bringing Harrison Barnes in a 3-team deal. So it looked like the hype was going to continue going into this season.
Kind of had a slow start out the gate though. First game against Dallas, 17 points on 5 of 18 shooting, only 1 of 8 from 3, 4 turnovers, and the Mavericks win comfortably. Bounced back with 29, 7, and 3 in his next game, had a deep ass 3 early in this game. And one thing we've seen throughout the year is like, he's definitely expanded like his shooting range. Like he could shoot threes pretty comfortably last year, but he's shooting threes from a couple feet behind the line this year.
Again, just absolutely terrifying that he's doing that.
He added like that Brook Lopez range.
Exactly, just out of nowhere. I guess over the offseason had an up and under dunk as well that game that didn't really look possible at first, but it's Wemby, so he just somehow does it.
I was gonna say, I feel like we say that a lot in relation to this guy. Like, oh, I didn't think that was possible.
And then he just does it.
Oh, he did it? Oh, right. Okay.
After this, though, the struggles kind of continued. Spurs and Rockets meet again, and he actually had a pretty good game. 14 points, 6 of 14 shooting, grabs 20 boards and 5 assists, but again, only 14 points. And then their fourth game of the season, the Thunder shut him down down, which, to be fair, the Thunder are shutting down a lot of guys, but 6 points on only 5 shot attempts.
That's the bigger thing to me. Like, if he had gotten 6 points, but he was just like 2 of 16 from the field, that's one thing. The fact that they only limited him to 5 shot attempts, period, like, they were doing such a good job on him on defense that he wasn't even getting looks that he felt comfortable shooting.
Then after that, he was still putting up some decent games, nothing like ridiculous we were accustomed to though. After 10 games, the Spurs were 4-6. Not too bad considering how bad they were last year, but then around like mid to early November, the dude started absolutely cooking. It starts with 34, 14-6 in a blowout road win versus the Kings. He then had his first 50-point game of his career against the Wizards. I know it's the Wizards, but still, 50 points.
They all count the same.
8 of 16 from 3. Again, just terrifying that he's shooting 8 of 16 from 3 in a game. He puts up 28, 14, 5 in a close loss to the Lakers, then misses a few games with a knee contusion, but he comes back against the Warriors, 25, 9-7 in a win. Had a couple 34-point games as well, including a 34-point triple-double against the Kings a few weeks ago. And after that, they were 11-9. To give you some perspective, last season when they got their 11th win, it was basically Valentine's Day. It was February 12th.
This thing, it's all about expectations. It's like 11-9, like, okay, that's okay, not great, but then when you remember, oh, last year they had to wait till mid-February. Like the Super Bowl was almost happening by the time they got their 11th win last year. He did have another poor shooting night against the Suns, only scoring 15 points on 6 of 18 shooting. Followed that up by missing 2 more games with a sore lower back. The Spurs, not surprisingly, went on a 3-game losing streak without him in the lineup, but since he's returned to them, I mean, he's gotten right back to where he left off. 25-10 in his return game against the Pelicans. Also hit a 3 off a Chris Paul pass that moved CP3 up to 2nd all-time in assists, and the Spurs got the win. Next game against the Blazers, of course, bodies us 28, 7-7. You know, just rubs that salt in just a little bit more. Had some clutch free throws down the stretch. Minnesota kept him in check pretty well. You know, he still got 20, but the Wolves won comfortably. But his last 2 games just prior to this video, it's kind of what inspired the whole video to begin with. I mean, 42, 6, 5, and 4 against the Hawks. Again, like, his range shooting has just been so impressive. He had 1 deep 3 near the end of the first quarter on a 2-for-1. Like, this dude is 7'3". How is he? No.
Yeah, and it's his second year. It's not like, you know, year 6, you know, you're developing your jumper later on. Like, he started this early, and credit to whoever that was, if it was his idea or if it's like the Spurs coaching staff getting him shooting all these threes, because he was kind of taking some flack for it. Early on, he was struggling with the shot, and it's like, why is this 7'3" dude jacking up 9 threes a game?
I remember I got on him a little bit for it.
Yeah, but it's working out.
Yeah, it's working very well. Spurs end up winning that game in overtime, and then, like we mentioned earlier, 30 points, 10 blocks against the Blazers. It's just like, literally just throwing it back, literally throwing the ball back in our face over and over and over again, 10 times to be exact. Just nonstop. Look, I still like Scoot. I think, have a little bit more confidence and belief in Scoot than a lot of Blazer fans do right now. But man, it hurts seeing every time. It's so, seeing him put on that black and white Spurs jersey, it hurts.
So yeah, the Spurs have now won 4 of their last 5. They're 15-13. That's only 9th in the West, but only a game out of 5th as well. My big prediction was Wemby was going to be a top 5 player by the end of this season. That's not going to happen. He would have to pass like Tatum.
He's not going to get there this year.
Yeah, he's not going to get there. He will, in my opinion, be definitively top 10 though. And it's kind of hard to make an argument against him at this point with the way he's playing. And really the main thing about this video, this dude needs to be talked about more, like nonstop. The NBA needs to be pushing this dude every chance they get.
Well, Lowe pointed out on Twitter that like he's been in 3 national TV games since November 1st.
That's ridiculous.
It's baffling. Like, I get the national TV games are set before the season, but the Spurs only had like, you know, 25, something like that.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, again, we got the Lakers with like 39, Golden State with 36. Like, okay, fine. Those 2 can be 1 and 2. Spurs should be right after them.
Yeah, they need to be up there. They will be on Christmas morning, like 9:30 for us West Coast boys out here.
What a present for you.
Yeah.
Wemby against the Knicks.
That's going to be a lot of fun. Wemby in Madison Square Garden, but like the NBA needs to be pushing this dude nonstop. As we said in our previous video, the title of it, this is the start of the Victor Wembanyama era, so just get used to it, and I'm just excited to see it. We're gonna see some just ridiculous highlight reels by the end of this. So what do you guys think? Where do you rank Wemby right now among the other like top 10 players in the league? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please consider giving a like, and hey, while you're here, check out some of our other videos as well. And don't forget to subscribe to Synthetic Sports.